If you're a founder, a director, a board member, or a senior leader, there's a good chance that something feels slightly off. AI is everywhere in your organization. People are using ChatGPT. Copilot is probably switched on. Gemini is being tested. Someone in marketing is probably experimenting with a tool. Someone in operations has automated a few tasks. On the surface, it looks like progress. But when you step back and ask a simple question, are we actually getting measurable business value from this? The answer is usually unclear. Adoption seems high, but clarity is low and return is quite vague. This gap between tool usage and business impact is what I call the readiness chasm. Most organizations are not failing with AI, they're drifting with it. And drift in a compounding technology cycle is not neutral, it's regressive. Underneath the experimentation, I usually see no shared standards, no workflow redesign, no governance structure, and no clear ownership. So this creates two risks. The first is silent underperformance. You believe you're moving forward, but you're simply doing the same work, just slightly faster. And the second then is silent exposure. Shadow AI, data leakage, regulatory uncertainty, decisions shaped by systems that nobody fully understands. And that's the reality that most leaders are sitting with right now. My name is Greg Heaslip. I'm an Adjunct Teaching Fellow at Trinity College, Dublin, where I teach applied AI to business audiences. I hold a PhD in engineering from the University of Limerick, where my research focused on physics of failure, understanding how physical systems fail. But before, during, and after my time in academia, I was building, scaling, and acquiring and exiting businesses, amassing over 30 years of business experience, including founding and exiting a SaaS platform used in pharmaceutical manufacturing. So I don't approach AI as hype. I don't approach it as code. I understand it as a systems problem with an underlying understanding of business. I work daily with multiple AI platforms. I build and manage AI agents. I redesign workflows. I automate real business processes. But more importantly, I help leadership teams understand how to steer this technology responsibly and strategically. Because the constraint in most organizations isn't the tool, it's the capability architecture around that tool. Most AI training fails because it operates at the wrong layer. It teaches prompts, it compares tools, it explains features, and that's all very surface level enablement. What actually drives return on investment is structured capability. And at Westmar, we have a 4-tier model that we use. 4 distinct layers that every organization should build. The first one is strategic fluency. This is for leaders, because leaders don't need to understand code, but they do need to understand where AI changes capital allocation, where it shifts the risk exposure, where it enables transformation, not just efficiency. Without this, you essentially end up with a steering bottleneck. The second layer is collaboration fluency. This is your baseline users. They need more than prompt tricks. They need to understand how to delegate, how to describe tasks clearly, how to validate AI outputs, how to detect hallucinations, what data should never leave the organization. So this builds trust and it reduces fear. The third layer there then is the implementation intuition. And this is where real value starts to emerge. Your power users must move beyond using just the tool. They have to start redesigning workflows. And look, the evidence on this is clear. Workflow redesign is the strongest predictor of business impact. This is where cycle times start dropping. It's where margins start to improve. And it's where competitive advantage starts to compound. And then the last layer is the stewardship infrastructure. This is the missing layer almost everywhere. AI capabilities decay over time. Models evolve, interfaces change, regulations shift. And without internal champions, without governance refresh cycles, without structured updates, organizations fall into a trap that I call the velocity trap. Training becomes obsolete, whereas Stewardship sustains that maturity. And that's the shift from AI activity to AI capability. So you're going from experimentation into infrastructure, from drift into deliberate leverage. There are different ways to begin with this. For most organizations, we start with a readiness assessment. We map your organization across those four capabilities that I just spoke about. We identify the real gaps, not the perceived gaps, but the real gaps. We quantify risk exposure, and we prioritize workflow opportunities with measurable return on investment potential. For others, we might begin with a leadership strategic fluency session where we fix that kind of steering layer first. For advanced teams, we would run transformation labs. And this is real workflows, deconstructed, redesigned, and rebuilding them using AI. And for organizations serious about sustained adoption, we build a stewardship model. Internal AI champions, monthly capability updates, governance refresh cycles, onboarding standards for new hires. For these programs, we deliberately limit intake each quarter. That's because this work is diagnostic. We're not a course provider, we're a capability partner. And if there isn't leadership alignment, we don't proceed because outcomes are, to say the best, they're mediocre. So you have a choice. You already know that this isn't going away. These models are accelerating. The autonomous agents are emerging. Boards are asking harder questions. Competitors are quietly moving forward. And the danger isn't that you're left behind. The danger is that you're believing that your informal experimentation equals readiness. The gap between perceived adoption and structured capability widens over time. And the cost is already starting to compound. So you have two ways to go about this. Continue on with the experimentation, continue on with the occasional wins, and I would say persistent ambiguity. Or you can put in place a structured capability, measured workflow gains, aligned governance, and internal stewardship that compounds. Intelligent leaders don't chase hype, they build infrastructure. And if you believe your organization should move from AI activity into AI capability, then start with the diagnosis. Book a readiness conversation. Let's determine whether there's a genuine capability gap and whether we're the right partner to help you close it. No hype, no theater, just structured clarity.